Hi there, it's Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder here with this week's episode of the Tuesday Brewsday. So we're going to continue on with our kind of life gain reanimator shell that we've been working with, and this time I'm going to drop white. So after analyzing white in the last few weeks, I feel like white doesn't give enough to the deck, and you really have to choose whether you really want to mill a lot of cards and get some cards in your graveyard, or really focus on having the ghoul go to the graveyard naturally and having lots of ways to reanimate it, which I don't think is. You're always in this sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario with the white shell. White does have some good cards like the Charming Prince, but it felt like making the Griffins was decent versus some matchups. Of course, it's very, very good versus mono red, or it was good versus rogues, but it felt like it struggled versus, especially, it didn't give you anything more against Gruul. Gruul's just gonna be a bad matchup for this type of archetype to begin with, and it didn't seem to put enough pressure versus the Ugin decks or the Yorion decks. And so this mono black list is working out a lot better because it is focusing solely on the graveyard strategy. Now we missed Charming Prince a little bit. Charming Prince was pretty good to scry and gain life and have a good good Lurus target to cast back from your graveyard. But honestly, you don't even really need that. I'm wondering if Lurus just finding like one Triton or even just the one of Golden Egg that I have in this deck is often enough to start getting the recursion back. And the key card is a Yara. So Yara is going to make all of your Mire Tritons, as well as like if you have Skyclave Shades, be able to come back from the graveyard to gain you life and then hopefully trigger the ghoul, which then triggers more life. So I'm very impressed with this card because it does everything that what this deck wants to do. It gains you the life, it draws you cards. It's actually pretty aggressive with cards coming back. You're just slowly draining your opponent. And in those matchups like the Ugin matchups, it gives you an out to where you can actually get in that last bit of damage. One of the things I was finding out with the white version is you didn't have any sort of haste type effects. You didn't have any direct damage type effects. And it's very tough to get in that last points of damage. And Yara can actually do that on a big chain. We're talking about a game. Oftentimes, versus the Ugin matchups, the game's gone on at least 8 turns for them to throw out Ugin. Unless we're going against Ramp, we're not going to win against Ramp. That's just going to be a matchup we're going to have to drop as well. But if it's just an Ugin that's trying to be like a control shell Ugin, the game's gone on for at least 9, 10, 11 turns, and by that time we can actually build up quite a bit of graveyard. The Witch's Oven in the Yara actually protects against Ugin wiping the graveyard, so dropping in a Yara, gaining a bunch of life can actually trigger off 6, 7, 8 points of damage, no problem. And the other card that's very good against Ugin decks is the Skyclave Shade. This is where we want to be aggressive-wise. Having a Griffin come out on turn number 3 is worlds difference than having a Skyclave Shade come out on turn number 2 and have them have to deal with it. Oftentimes the scenario is that you put out a Skyclave Shade, they deal with it, next turn you just drop a land, recast it, and they continue to have to deal with that Skyclave Shade where you're dropping lands and then you'll be able to cast multiple creatures per turn, and then you can start getting the mill going with the Tritons and the ghouls, or the Timurt's calls the dead. And at that point, you're going to really start to build up your recursion and put enough pressure on those particular decks. So I would say that's probably our best matchup is against the Yorion. There are a few flavors of Yorion that can be a bit of an issue. The heavy on the control, like the Shark Tornado one, we really don't have any answer versus Shark Tornado in this version. In white, we had Elspeth Conquers Death. That was a late addition that I added, which was pretty good against those Shark Typhoon decks. But what we have to offer in the counterbalance to that is aggression that can just win the game with some really, really clutch draws. So let's go over the deck tech here. So one of the additions to this one is going to be Witch's Oven. We're still going to run the 1 Cling to Dust. I don't know if Cling to Dust wants to be a 2 of in this deck, but oftentimes it is just the one. You find it mills great. A lot of times you cycle it early. It has the option of gaining you 3 life. It's decent versus other graveyard-based decks, but we're not really too worried against other graveyard-based decks. Witch's Oven has a way to protect our Skyclave Shades, as well as start getting the kind of the chain going. Once you do have a Witch's Oven out and a Ghoul, that is going to allow you to sacrifice a Ghoul and be able to then gain the 3 life to get the ghoul back. So if you have multiple ghouls back, you're able to sacrifice one to draw a card, sacrifice the other one for the life, sacrifice the food to get both of them back, and you can really grind out your opponent. I'm in love with decks like this. They just have a lot of synergies and a lot of ways to grind out your opponent. We're going to keep the Tritons, and we're going to keep the Egg. The Skyclave Shade, we talked about it. It's another recursion. It has a lot of synergy with both the Triton and the Timurrt Calls the Dead. I do like it a little more than Elspeth. I think it does provide that the aggression that we're losing from like the Elspeth. But we are losing evasiveness with the flyers. But we make up for just that sheer power early on where we can get that 3-1, and just a 3-1 is obnoxious enough that people do have to deal with it. It doesn't block. I really wish it could block, as Questing Beast is still an issue, and so is the Elemental in the Gruul matchup. But like I stated before, we're not going to win the Gruul matchup. The Gruul matchup with Embercleave and Great Henge, oftentimes this deck is going to be able to deal with one of those, like rip out an Embercleave or a Great Henge with the Elspeth Nightmares, and then your opponents are just going to get another one and then win the game with that second or third copy. The other additions to this is going to be a Yara, which we talked about, which has that life gain, and we're going to go a full-on package of Agadeem's Awakening in a mono-black version. This is perfect. It doesn't have the greatest synergy in this. Like, the best-case scenario, you get like a Triton and a Lurrus or an Yara back, but still, this is a free card. This card is so brokenly powerful. It can come into play untapped. We're a life gain deck. We're not going to worry about the 3 life there. If we do draw it late, so it's just going to be an early land, a lot of times turn 1 tapped. Other times it's just going to be, pay 3 life. It's not going to be a big deal. But if we do get this late, it can get 5 converted mana cost back from the graveyard, which is another way to get the loop going. So especially like a Yara, and getting back a Triton gains you 3 life with the Agadeem's Awakening when you actually cast these back from the graveyard, and then that will get all the ghouls back. So that's a really cool combo with this deck as well. Going to go a full package of the Castle Locktwains, 11 swamps. We want mostly untapped lands in this deck, as well as a lot of black to make sure we can cast the Yara. And then we're going to run the Field of Ruin and the Radiant Fountain. Our only control in this deck is going to be the Murderous Rider. That's why Gruul is going to be such a hard matchup. We have Elspeth Nightmare and Murderous Rider, but the problem with this format is so lopsided on threats versus control. There aren't any mid-range decks at the moment. This deck really preys on mid-range, and I would say that Yorion is the closest we have to a mid-range deck. And we are also very good versus control. So you have to like pick your poison of which one you're going to be terrible against. We're actually pretty good versus aggro. But the problem with Gruul is a go big aggro. So it's going to put out a ton of threats, and if you don't take care of one of those threats, you lose the game. That's a lot different from, say, Knights, or I'm trying to think some other aggro decks. Mono Red is going around a little bit. There's like a white-green deck that's going around as well. All those decks are aggressive, but we can kind of keep up with tempo with those ones. Whereas Gruul, you leave like one Questing Beast unchecked, it gets hooked up with an Embercleave, you're dead. I hate Gruul. I think it's the most ridiculous deck right now. It really reminds me of Hazoret aggro, which you just have these horrible scenarios. You take care of the early threats, you get beat by the late threats. You keep up removal for the late threats. They just put too much pressure with the early threats. And then they have stuff like Great Henge. It really feels like Hazoret aggro, the exact same role that used to play. It was just such a headache to play against. I'm not saying it's unbeatable. Obviously, we're in a rock paper scissors matchup where Yorion does pretty decent versus Gruul, and Rogues does very good versus Yorion, and then Gruul preys on Rogues. So it's just kind of rock paper scissors. And there is a few decks here in between. It's not the worst standard ever. There have definitely been worse standards, but this is a pretty miserable standard in the scope of things with the cards like the Great Henge and Embercleave. You can go back on my rant video, and I can lay it out for you of all the poor design that I think is really not only every set has had poorly designed card. We have M21 bring back Ugin. We have Ikoria having the companions. We have Theros with Euro that had to get banned. We have Throne of Eldraine that just the entire set was terrible. But again, that's a rant for another day. We've already beat that dead horse to a pulp. Let's go on to the sideboard. So our sideboard is going to have just 3 Duresses and 4 Agonizing Remorses. We're going to bring these in versus control decks. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to swap out the Tamir Calls the Dead and the Elspeth Nightmares a lot of the times. It depends on the flavor of the control if Elspeth Nightmare stays in or not. But typically those are the things that are going to get chucked in or chucked out. And you're also going to bring in Liliana, Walker of the Dead, which has a lot of synergy with this deck, being able to ditch Skyclave, Shades, and the Ghouls. And just you can, with Duress, Agonize Remorse into Liliana is a really good curve. It feels very similar to what Modern's doing with like the first turn Thoughtseize and Abrupt Decay into Liliana type strategy there. Or same thing, Duress into Skyclave Shade and Agonizing Remorse into Liliana. You then have the 3 power that's going to continue to get in there, and you're going to drain your opponent's hand. And then you can just really overwhelm them with the other stuff that's going to start coming out. So I'm liking this addition with Liliana the Walker of the Dead. It's also really good for the removal aspect because we are a self-mill strategy. Oftentimes, though, we do take out Timurit, Calls the Dead. We keep in Mire Triton, though, so there will be enough stuff in the graveyard. But Liliana's +1 is pretty good early on, and then the -3 can take care of threats. Extinction Event is still a necessary evil in this. It's really our only hope versus some of the matchups that, like Food and Gruul. Typically, they're tough matchups. They're not unwinnable, but they are tough. They are very, very tough for this deck to really compete with the Great Henge. The Great Henge is the issue card. Embercleave would be another issue, but for like Food and other decks that are running green with it's often the the second and third Embercleave that gets us. Alrighty, so that is enough rambling for this video with a 10-minute deck tech. Let's get on and play some games. What is change? Okay, yes, we do want to use it. Did it actually save our deck? I don't know what I did to it. Let me check it here. Okay, it looks fine. Looks like we are where we want to be. All right, so I think this is a better best of 2 deck because best of 1 is I think our sideboard gets a lot better versus most of the matchups, and best of 1 is really plagued with many all-in decks. Many of these decks that have a lot of one-trick ponies and stuff that you do need sideboards for. So let's see how well this one's going to work out today. I was really close to actually hitting Diamond with this deck, and then went on a horrible Gruul streak of getting Embercleave to death over and over and over. We have some pretty decent combos here. We have, unfortunately, this Ghoul is cursed. The Ghoul is so cursed, it never wants to go in your graveyard. You never mill it. I swear. It's But, we're going against Food. So let's go ahead and go a Triton, and hopefully, like, the Radiant Fountain and Mire Triton's a cool combo, so if we hit a Ghoul, we get one into play. So let's see if that actually happens. It does not. In fact, we get 2 lands that we really wanted in this matchup with the... Oh, I thought that was another Field of Ruin. But Food is very tough. Like, we always lose game 1, and Extinction Event can get us out of game 2s, but it still isn't a great option. It's... the Great Henge gets us, so... We'll go ahead and throw out a Timurit, and hopefully we don't get hinged this next turn. Unfortunately, we milled all lands, so definitely not going our way today with milling 5 lands out of Triton and Timurit Calls the Dead. So we missed 3 Ghouls and 4 Skyclave Shades. Womp womp. And any other creature we can just kill. Plus, that's a lot of our black sources for Ayara. Oh, yeah, this is not looking good. So, let's see, Henge comes down, 5 mana. No, okay, so Henge it out to be a Fabled Passage. I don't know if this is a deck that actually does run Fabled Passage. So I think we're okay to Great Henge. But unfortunately, I think that we are going to be playing from behind when those Trail Crumbs comes down and Nissa comes down. There's just too much card draw in green. They went just overboard with some of the best card draws ever printed. So... if my opponent wants to make this trade, I'll absolutely make this trade. I think it's a pretty unwise trade unless they have some sort of fight card to take care of the Triton. And I'm thinking in Food, they typically don't until next turn with the Wicked Wolf. So yeah, it does not happen. Plus, he'd give me a card in my graveyard to go for the Timurit, so that would be a bad attack. And they are really rampant, so yeah. Unfortunately, I have to play one of these Extinction Events. Let's get rid of a Triton here. Could have got rid of Lurrus, actually. That would have been fine to get rid of Lurrus, but this gives us a play. And we need to pay 2 life. I think I am going to pay 2 life here, so rather than the Ghoul, we're pay 3 life. We're going to go the Skyclave Shade, just to get some aggression out. And I actually think Golden Egg's a bit better than another Triton. This is my reasoning. No, okay. Triton can still get back a Ghoul if I mill it this turn. So my reasoning was I could go Golden Egg, and then next turn I'm gaining 2 life, and then I can go a Triton, but I don't think it matters. So let's put out the Triton. And we can actually attack in with this Triton, but I want to play around a Wolf. So, yeah, this is the issue, is as soon as Nissa or Great Henge or Trail Crumbs comes out, we are just going to get out-card advantaged like crazy. And then eventually the Trolls will come out, and I don't have enough removal for the Trolls at that point. This is a difficult matchup. It's definitely not as bad as Gruul, but yeah, there's the Henge. This card absolutely needs to go. This is the problem card, in my opinion, for Standard. Unfortunately, I kind of do want Witch's Oven. I do want Witch's Oven. I do want lands. Do you know what? I think I want all of these. Do we need Witch's Ovens right now? I don't want this land. But I want one more land to make sure I can cast a Yara. And then I can hit my land drop this turn by Golden Egg. And then it will get us the land. I have no clue how we're going to beat this Great Henge, though. And I don't know if I actually want to blow an Awakening. No, I think we just play Golden Egg. We play the Swamp and we play a Ghoul. We attack him with the Skyclave Shade. At that point, I think I need to attack him with everything. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this Great Henge, though. So we'll go Ghoul. And we do need one more mana. Yeah, I definitely should have kept that other mana because that would have Aghanim Awakening for the Lurrus. Scavenging Ooze is going to be an issue, too. They do run it main most of the time. So we're going to go ahead and attack him with everything but the zombie. And do our best to try to wheedle down our opponent. That is 7 damage, but yeah, Ooze comes down. It is gonna be rough. So he's gonna make the trade on the Kazandu Mammoth. That's fine. Okay, so at least one-ish threat out of the way, and now we don't have to worry about opponent really attacking anything. Gonna create some food with that Great Henge. We get the Witch's Oven next turn, which can start the card draw on our part. So what we really need to avoid is like a quick Scavenging Ooze. A wolf would be bad here too, but not backbreaking. Let's see, they go with after the Ghoul, I assume. Go after the Mire Triton, sack the food, and then give it indestructible. Okay, I'm okay with that play. Yeah, I'm definitely okay with that play. Unfortunately, I mean, their Great Henge has already got 1 card, and it's got 4 life, and now we have a Trail of Crumbs. It's going to be very, very difficult to deal with. See, this is my issue with the Great Henge. Is it really needed in Standard right now? Every green deck already has ways to draw cards. They have ample ways to draw cards. So, would my opponent block with the Tanglehide? Let's just see what my opponent does. We're going to go ahead and attack him with everything. It's not really going to make a dent. Okay, cool. My opponent does just take the damage because we do want to start drawing cards. So we're going to tap, draw. And we can get it back with Golden Egg. But my only chance to get back from this is to start, you know, adding some pressure. I'm going to actually cast the Elspeth Nightmare because we need to take care of this Goose. And possibly this can take care of like another Trail of Crumbs, the Elspeth Nightmare. But it is not looking good. Decides not to crack a food. I think we can pay 2 life for this, or pay 3 life for this one. Yeah, sure. Because I do want my Witch's Oven out. And now we got some nice little recursion going. We just need Lurrus. We can actually cast Lurrus. We can start doing Lurrus Mire Tritons. So we do have the sustainability, but we're on a time clock for when those oozes come out. And our opponent already has a ton of mana. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. What if I sack the Shade? No, I don't think I do. See, there's Vivian. That's what I'm talking about. Look at the card draw. Look at the absolute monster of card draw that Green's got going on. That it's going to... Because Vivian's card draw. It's the top card of the library as a creature, you cast it. So far, no trample, but this is going to be an issue. We need to find a Murderous Rider to take care of Vivian. But, yeah, this is... Opponent still has not drawn a land in so many turns. Let's see if they come in with the Wicked Wolf. Okay. We get to rip out a card, most likely. There's a Lovestruck Beast. Decides not... Okay, it doesn't have the mana to tap for it. So hopefully this gets rid of like a second Vivian. would be or Trail of Chromes would be the best case scenario. Nope, got a Feasting Troll King and a Wicked Wolf. Neither one of those are going to be decent for us to deal with. So getting Lurrus back is kind of not the right play. Only thing we can really do here is gain some life and get the ghoul back. Don't know why I didn't sack the Shade to get the Shade back. Yeah, that's the best I can do. Let's just go ahead and kill the Crawling Barrens. That is going to be an issue card. But it is going to be an unwinnable matchup. Extinction Event gives us a little play because we can allow our opponent to overextend. I have beat these decks by them milling because of... Oh man, we had a Murderous Rider coming up. Because of... Do I attack in? Yeah, I might as well attack in. This sucker doesn't do anything sitting back. Really? Why instead of a 1-1? I'll make that trade. So Troll's going to come out or Wicked Wolf. We're also in a bit of an issue here with this Wicked Wolf. Alright, gonna go after that. Alright, we'll sack it. Get some food. And hopefully our opponent can start playing quicker. These are the most obnoxious arena players. I think you can respond, my dude, to a food token. I guess it's got to show him he's got a rope to know it's his activation. Alrighty, so Wicked Wolf gets a 4/4. I'm going to get smacked for 1 billion damage here. Vivian's going to get another one. Another Crawling Barrens. Yeah, I don't think we have a chance without... Unfortunately, we don't have a chance without a Extinction Event. The good news about this, though, is like Extinction Event hits most of their key cards in the deck. So like Scavenging Ooze, it hits all the tokens, it hits all the Feasting Troll Kings. It doesn't hit Lovestruck Beast or the Mammoth. So what we're going to do, we're going to sack this guy just to draw some cards. I don't know why I'm playing it out because I don't think there's a chance of coming back from this, especially with the Troll King. We are drawing way too many lands. At least we can get rid of my opponent's graveyard. I think my only hope here... We don't have a Yara either yet. A Yara can get us sort of back in this. I don't think we're going to have enough blockers, though. So, Swamp occurs. We have to do Lurrus this turn. And... it's definitely Lurrus. And it's still going to be a Triton. And we can cast one more Triton. But if we mill Lurrus here... we're in trouble. I guess we could do a Golden Egg. Nah, it'd definitely be a Triton. Ah, we needed that Iara. So if we hit another Ghoul here, it can work out for us. And we didn't. We hit all Silver Shades. So, yeah. I don't think that this is working out. We're going to take a ton of damage, too. So there you go. If we have a Yara out, you can see how we could drain. Opponents use 2 Wicked Wolves. Another Trail of Crumbs. Trail of Crumbs is just more grease on the fire here. I don't know if it's needed. Another Gilded Goose. Okay. Another Gilded Goose. Oh, Extinction Event would be so beautiful here. Guess it doesn't get rid of the goose. There's Mr. 8 to fight Lurrus. have an ape as well. And that's also an even converted mana cost. So, I mean, the only point to continuing on this game is this is a slow player and you could easily win by time. They've gone through 9 minutes already. But yeah, we'll just concede. There's no way I'm coming back. So let's go on to the match number 2. Liliana Walker the Dead actually might be pretty decent in this matchup. They're not that aggressive. I didn't see questing beasts. So we could definitely go that route. So we could take out the Temerits. I could easily consider Agonizing Remorse in here because it gets rid of the cards we wanted to get rid of. I'm gonna try things a little bit different. Cling to Dust is still good because it can get rid of Feasting Troll Kings, but I'm not sure it's the right route to go. Like, the Skyclave Shade is just bad in this matchup, so is the Golden Egg. I don't think we need, like, a Golden Egg. Witch's Oven is also a liability. We're going to try to control our way better here. Murderous Rider, I think we do need in this matchup, but we might be able to cut one. Or we could be greedy and just cut a land and see how that works out for us. Yeah, we're going to try to control a little bit higher on the control land and see if Liliana does work out for us. So, I mean, because it is they do need their key components. And after extinction events, it is our way that we can get rid of those pesky goose. But I obviously need to rip out Vivian and Trail of Crumbs. So that's why the Elspeth Nightmares. Nightmare's still really good because it kills the gooses. It kills the Florahedrons. But it is still a very, very difficult matchup versus Food. Food and Gruel, those are our bad matchups. So keep this hand. It's not the greatest, but we do have an Agonizing Remorse to rip out a Henge. Hopefully we don't see a first turn Goose. We see a first turn Lovestruck Beast. That's much better. Alright, we'll Agonize Remorse. And hopefully get rid of that Great Henge. Questing Beast. So Questing Beast is going to be a little bit slow. And let's get a Ghoul going. Here comes Mr. Lovestruck Beast. Unfortunately, we can't do much here. I don't want to blow like an early... I'm just going to take 5. See, this is the issue. Every time you rip out you rip out a Henge, there's just another one, and we're going to lose to this Henge. So I'm going to take the 5. Am I? No, I think we just block. Whoa. Oh, the second Henge gets us. Yeah, it's going to be too much card advantage again. And unfortunately... I mean, we cast Loris, but I don't know, that's kind of a weird cast. We drew too many lands. Because Questing Beast is coming down. I'm going to die the Crawling Barrens. And my opponent can just go ham here. So they had all lands. We saw their hand. They had all lands. All lands and a Lovestruck Beast after we ripped out and a Questing Beast. And now here comes the flood. Lurus I can keep around. So I just take 10 here. So we have to Extinction Event this turn. Now we can do both, but Agonizing Remorse at this point are so bad. At least we got another Questing Beast. Ay, ay, ay. And then we'll even it. But those Crawling Barrens are going to be an issue now. So here's the even. Yes, we want even. And we can actually attack him with Luris. Which gives us back a... Any draw, though. Any draw here just wins the game with Great Henge. I don't know how anyone can justify this card sticking in Standard. I want to hear the arguments of why the Great Henge is something that makes the format. The biggest issue is this pairing. Lovestruck Beast and Great Henge. It just makes for a too quick. You saw that. I ripped it out, and then it was... I couldn't even help the next one. Yeah, here comes the Crawling Barons. Just 2 damage, though, with Crawling Barons. And we can actually keep back the blockers. So we're going to take 3 damage? Okay, no. Alright, let's not draw land. Let's draw land. So, unfortunately, I kind of want a blocker here. Ay, ay, ay. So we can lose 3 life to draw a card. Murderous Rider. Yeah, that's fine. Murderous Rider will be good. Unfortunately, I have to use it on a Barons. Opponent is going to be able to make a ton of... Really? Going to go that route instead. Okay, that's like the best case scenario for us. But what are we getting? Oh, jeez. Now a Bounder's Enclave. Yeah, green needs more card draw. I don't think they have enough. There's a Trail of Crumbs. Ay, ay, ay. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a card. See if my card draw can keep up. Unfortunately, though, we are drawing way too many lands, and that was a terrible card to draw. Oh, boy. So we're gaining some life. Unfortunately, just the ghoul. I can sack this ghoul, though. Does it matter? Right now, no, we hit a land drop. We want to keep it up. Yeah, so now the Trail of Crumbs is just going to get our opponent back in this. I mean, this is one of the arguments for Ugin, like having Ugin exist in the format. But I think that if you ban the big 3, Ugin, Great Henge, and Embercleave, it widens the format up to many other archetypes that could exist. You're basically running one of the 3, or you're going like a Yorion or Rogue strategy. Those are also viable options. But I would say that Yorion and Rogues are much easier to combat than those particular 3 cards that are narrowing down the meta. So another Gilded Goose, which draws a billion cards. And yeah, creates another food token. So Vivian's got to be coming out here soon. Because on to Mammoth, this is getting interesting just to go odds now with the Extinction event. There's the Troll King. That's an even, though. Get in with a goose? Decides not to, so we have to crack. I don't have the life for... That might be a weird crack. But I need to draw some cards. Not another Agadeem's Awakening. Yeah. We have nothing in the graveyard. We need to gain 3 life here. How do we gain 3? I can't even figure out how to gain 3. Besides just attacking with Luris and then doing an Extinction event on evens. Or odds. That does decent, but then what is it? Just activate Calling Barons, win? I believe that's how it works. No, because we can hold up Murderous Rider. But activate twice and win. And then it'd take us 2 damage. Yeah. We go up by 3, though. Huh. All right, let's see. Maybe I Murderous Rider. No. There's a second Luris. That was the worst card possible again. We have to blow this Extinction Event, which sucks. And I don't know if I did the math correctly. Probably not. Because this goes odds. Wipes out 4 creatures. And unfortunately, we have to... Playing this one is pointless. Whatever. So see if our opponent just goes for the Crawling Barrens. Another Gilded Goose. There is the third one. We'd have to draw like 2 more Extinction Events. Tangled Floral Hide. That one's actually pretty good for an Extinction Event off the top. Enclave can even draw a card. There's tons of cards here, too. Ay, ay, ay. I wonder how Rogues actually does work against this match. They only have what the... So I have to kill... Yeah, I have to go here. On the Troll King. But my opponent can then just get it back. And draw 3 cards. So we would need to find evens. We need to find another Extinction Event on evens. Yeah, it is such a losing battle versus this matchup. Fortunately, we didn't have a Cling to Dust there, too. That would have been nice to have a Cling. We're taking 6, too, so it's not like we can actually... Scavenging Ooze, too. So we'd have to draw Extinction Event on evens. Elspeth Nightmare definitely doesn't do it. Loris doesn't do it. So we go Murderous Rider. I don't have anything in my graveyard. Loris. Elspeth's Nightmare on the Gilded Goose. And then pass the turn. I gain 5. So I'm still okay on the Crawling Barrens. And the best case scenario my opponent can't... Oh, that hurts, actually. Wicked Wolf does hurt. So up to a 4. I think it's actually perfectly lethal that's coming... Okay, Ooze is coming through. So just going to go the Ooze route. This gives me an out, though. It gives me an Extinction Event just to wipe out the entire board. But I lose everything. I'll lose both my guys, is the issue. And they just need to attack into the Tingle Floral Hide. Okay. I don't think I can come back from this. Because I block here, and then block here, and then block here, and I don't think that's enough. I think it's exactly 8. Or, no, we're going to be negative. No, we're going to be 1. Okay, we're alive. But the big issue here is Extinction Event doesn't get us out because this Crawling Barrens is going to be the difference. Well, I could actually go Luris with the Agadeems and Extinction Event. I have one more out, but then again, now look what we're staring down after this. so let's see what actually does come. It was not an extinction event. We do have one draw for an extinction event. Oh man, extinction event, we're actually in pretty decent shape after this too, because no tramplers. We get rid of the scavenging ooze. So we'll go silver smoke. And sack it. And extinction event. If it were. Nope, it is not. Okie dokie. Yeah, very, very tough matchup. Have to rip the Great Henge out and pray they don't draw another one. But it's just really, really difficult for that scenario to pan out. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and play another one. My whole issue with this standard too is look at how many formats are so warped now. Like look at Legacy, look at Modern, look at Pioneer, and look at all of the formats have been... what was Modern Horizons for? I thought Modern Horizons was to be able to get in cards for Modern so they didn't have to ruin Standard. And now Modern is just like a huge portion of Standard cards are being played right now. Alrighty, let's go ahead and play first, and this actually is a keepable hand. It is risky. It's very, very risky. I'm playing first. We go Lock Twain into the Awakening and then play a Triton most likely. Unfortunately, well, we could go Skyclave. Let's go Skyclave. It's a little more aggressive than Triton. We don't need anything versus this black player so far. We don't know what flavor they are of black. There is a couple mono black decks going around, but all right, Field of Ruin's good. We'll go ahead and attack in, so it ended up being the right call. And this, we're just going to go Timrit now. Now we have to raise a worm, Massacre Worm. We're doing pretty good. Opponent hasn't done anything. Another swamp, huh? I'd like to draw just a regular source. We did get rid of all of our swamps, though. I don't think I need an Elspeth's Nightmare quite yet. Murderous Rider. It's still taking 2 damage. This is fine. So down to 15. Yeah, that hurt to miss that land drop. Do we just go Luris? No, we're going to go... Well, because Luris allows us to... No, it's definitely the... We're going to gain 1 life. I'm actually going to go Luris here. I think Luris is the better bang for the buck. I mean, it's not ideal. It definitely is not ideal. Don't like that Radiant Fountain. I do like that Solemn Simulacrum. But I think that they've just ramped into a Murderous Rider is the problem. Triton on top. We don't need a Triton on top. It doesn't really matter what we have on top here. I'd want another land, though. Because we're going to Elspeth's Nightmare. And hopefully they don't have a Massacre Worm in hand. Opponent's taking 8. They have to really... It's basically Worm or bust here. We are vulnerable to Worm, but it's not the end of us. We'll be able to rip out an Ugin. That actually hurts. A Shadow's Verdict. But it's not over. We have an Iyara. Kind of weird Cling to Dust. Just wants to draw a card to hit a land drop. Does not have a land drop. Okay, so Luris doesn't do anything for us. Elspeth's Nightmare, Extinguishment, and Shadow's Verdict. At this point, Shadow's Verdict is the better card. Our opponent's in top deck mode for sure. So Iyara gets killed. Luris has nothing. I think Iyara is still the right play. It forces my opponent to run out a removal spell this turn. Oh no, that does Elspeth's Nightmare. That was bad. We probably should have done a Triton. Yeah. We do get rid of the Cling to Dust, though. Just going to play a Murderous Rider. So removal spell. So we're going to go... We'll start off with a Triton. Cling to Dust. Elspeth Nightmare. Cannot touch either. It will get rid of my graveyard, though. Which does suck, because we need to actually... Okay, we'll make this trade, for sure. Because it allows Loris and... Radiant Fountain's not where we want to be. So do I want to get some value off the Cling to Dust? No, Cling to Dust is kind of weak here. So I think the Extinction Event, play around an Extinction Event's the right call. Gets this removal out as well. Do we need to fill up our graveyard is the... Yeah, I think this is the better play. We do lose a Loris out of our graveyard. Because it's going to go... He's going to go the Haggard Mauling. Oh, eliminate too. Okay. Yeah, we don't need any of those cards in the graveyard. Because Elspeth Nightmare is going to get rid of them. And a Mauling. Going to run a Mauling out on... We have the Murderous Rider for the Crawling Barrens. So I'm thinking my opponent's going to activate Crawling Barrens' attack. Yep. Maybe activate it twice. Does not. Maybe go Castle Locktwain then? Decides to do neither. So, Castle Locktwain. Loris keeps up what we need. Yep. Oh... This is anyone's game here, because that Castle Locktwain was a huge draw for my opponent as well. They lose 2 life every time they activate it, though. And then put some counters on the... No, does not decide to put the counters on Crawling Barrens. Alright, that actually hurts. That actually hurts. And we can't draw a card. Okay, Extinction Event is weird because we don't want to run it out. I have a Field of Ruin, and I think that's actually better. We need to take care of this Locktwain. Or do we? Opponent gets down low enough, we can actually... Huh. Take 2 again. See if they're going to go for a Castle Locktwain. Okay, does not. Just run out an Extinction Event, maybe? Okay, so now I can start drawing my cards off our Castle Locktwain here. Another Murderous Rider gives me a bit of a... Elspeth Nightmare. Elspeth Nightmare is actually pretty good. Gives my opponent a card draw. But we can rip out something. I'm not... Yeah, it's weird. It definitely is a weird... Okay, so eliminate happens to Loris. A lot of removal here. Still decides not to pump counters on the Crawling Baron. That was probably the worst draw possible for us, because that's a lot of card draw, and it's going to be 4 life. So now it's going to be tough to chain off. So we get rid of an Extinction Event with Elspeth Nightmare here. Golden Egg was pretty lackluster for us. So now we could go for a Yara. I'm just going to go Golden Egg, though. We actually need lands. Another Murderous Rider. Murderous Riders are usually good in this matchup, but they're pretty lackluster at the moment. So draw a card off Maze Mind Tome. Another Solemn Simulacrum. Ay, ay, ay. So that's a third Solemn. We can draw a card, though. That's a lot of life being hit our way. Field of Ruin. I think it might be worth it to take care of my opponent's Castle Locktwain in a bit. But here we go. We can definitely go Ghoul here. So there's the Tome again. He's going to draw a card. All right, no more Solemn Simulacrums. That's the good news. They are all accounted for. And I actually think just killing this is the right route to go rather than paying life. And maybe we can start dropping cards. All right, good. Land is fine. Agadeem's Awakening does not get what we want it to get at the moment. So cracking a golden egg is fine. So whose card draw is going to get us through? I have plenty of answers for Ugin. I have answers for some Massacre Worms. We're in decent shape life-wise. Decides not to use removal, so my opponent's got another removal spell. There's another Tome. Oh boy. Gonna come in there with the damage, huh? We could still use some more lands. At this point, I think it's worthwhile. I'm gonna take the Labyrinth of Scophos here. Yeah, we're gonna take the Labyrinth. Because that way we can actually attack in. Elspeth Nightmare. So let's go ahead and attack in. This should hopefully get a removal spell out of the way. Okay, so back down to 6. I hate giving my opponent a card draw, but at this point, what's the worst? And it is one of their threats. It is something that survives an Ugin. Finally, opponents decide to start putting some counters on the Crawling Barons. They have to have multiples, too, and we've gotten pretty lucky not to have all of them. So a Duress. Unfortunately, Duress does take the Agadeem's Awakening. Now, can they beat me in 24 cards? That's the big question. Because we have answers for Ugins. Decides to attack in, huh? So probably is another removal spell for the ghoul. We get to see the hand, though, here. So what kind of good stuff do we got going? Eliminate. Well, we'll kill it. Draw a card. Still want land drops to be... Alright, we got another ghoul. Duress, Blood Chiefs. I mean, at this point we just get rid of Blood Chief's Thirst. And I think a ghoul is actually better here. No, we only have 4, 5, 6 mana. Yeah, ghoul is actually perfect here. Keep up the Murderous Rider. Pretty sure my opponent's getting frustrated here with not having... So Duress just misses, so it's another dead draw. Another Mazemind Tome, but Mazemind Tome is... Yeah, you're going to activate both of them. Drew another. Running out of card draw. There's another Swamp. It's not another Crawling Barrens. Blood Chief's Thirst. Do I want to get hit with the damage or draw a card here? I think we're okay with getting hit with some damage. We'll take 6. Still want lands. The rest of my entire library is lands. Or do we mill a lot early on the... We did mill some. So Crawling Barrens, yeah, we're going to take 6, which was expected. That's fine. So we get to exile the graveyard, which I don't think is relevant. We do have a land here. So, can we just win? 1, 2, we only have 1... Oh, I think this is a win. I think this is a win here. So we go a Yara. Triton. Are we one off? No Skyclave there either? I'm going for it. And there's the win. We got it. Boom. Barely pulled that one off. Our opponent has so much removal. We have to assume Ugin is in the mix. So Duress and Agonizing Remorse and Liliana Walker the Dead are coming in. Tamara, I don't think we need to self-mill again. It's one of those things I think we're just going to rely on the Triton. Witch's Ovens are super good. Cling to Dust is weak. We can Cling to Dust and Cling to Dust, but I don't think it's necessary. Elspeth Nightmare is bad. We'll get rid of Elspeth Nightmare. Yeah, let's see. I think we can actually cut some lands. Alrighty, let's see here. So this is actually a decent hand. We got a Skyclave. Duress misses. Why'd they keep in Duress? I'll Duress their Duress because hopefully we can get a Tome out of their hand. We can get an Extinction Event at least. So we're going to go ahead and cast the Shade. The Shade should get eliminated. No surprise there. Does not get eliminated. Huh, I wonder why my opponent did not run out the eliminate. Maybe when I do a Blood Chief? Because this just allows for an attack. And then we'll recast it. It's the most efficient. Are you trying to bait me into... Well, if you have it, you have it. A second Extinction Event. So this is gonna get eliminated. Right? There it is. Okay. 3 cards left in my opponent's hand. We would love a Liliana here. Castle Lochtwain. That's a tough card for us to deal with, actually. I'm thinking my opponent just wants to run out of Blood Chief here. No, we're going to take the damage. All right, so we'll attack in first. And get out of Luris. We got to get out the removal. Yep, got it. We got to bait that out because we want the Ayara to come out. And got to bait the other removal spell out too. Look how much, just so much removal. I mean, it works for us because we are a graveyard, a deck that utilizes our graveyard. Agadeems. Agadeems is a liability at the moment, and plus, if my opponent blocks, we can just recast it. So, is Murderous Rider the Murderous Rider? Still don't have anything in the graveyard, unfortunately. Yeah, just enter the battlefield tapped. Unfortunately, that's what we're going to do with this. I don't want it to get duress with a random duress off the top. I'm actually going to do it. Might seem like a bad option. I don't want my opponent gaining life. I'm thinking I'm going to get Blood Chief's Thirst here now. No, my opponent is being very weird with the removal. Could just use the Labyrinth. Yeah, Labyrinth's fine. We'll go Field. And tap the Murderous. The problem is the Massacre Worm's going to get us when he draws it. Okay, we got that one out now. We are in great shape. They get rid of the Murderous Rider. Do I want it shuffled back in? 1 card in hand. I feel like going for the Field of Ruin, but we're going to keep it so we can actually get the Skyclave Shade back. Okay. I'm going to go for it. Okay, we have had another one, huh? Can't play around that, unfortunately. Down to a 3, though. So, gains 3 with a Radiant. Draw a card. Pretty sure my opponent has to block here. Problem is they get to draw a card off of a Castle Lochtwain. Now we are going to go Radiant Fountain. And then get the Skyclave back as a big boy now. Alright, draws a card, goes to 6. Cling to Dust. Draws another card, okay. There's a lot of ammo for that Cling to Dust as well. We could shoot it off and just get rid of the Cling to Dust. There isn't enough cards in at the moment. Or we could end a turn, get rid of the Labyrinth. I think that's the better play. Ugh, Maze Mind. That hurt. That was a good draw. So now we don't have to go for the Labyrinth. And did find the blood. Ay, ay, ay. So, we want to get rid of Castle Lockpoint? No, we'll just keep everything. Unfortunately, we might need to get rid of that Cling to Dust now. What do we have? Well, we're going for this. Go Yara and Skyclave. Which does 2 damage. I'm actually not worried about a Cling to Dust. It's a lot of mana. It takes up. It's a one-time use for the graveyard. Solemn, huh? Do I want to attack it with both? Because I kind of want to draw a card. No, we're attacking with both. Damage is key here. That's fine. We get a key card out of the hand with the Agonizing Remorse. Does Extinction Event even do anything here? I actually think Solemn is the worst card. Yeah, so kicking this I think is better than drawing a card. Down to a 4. Opponent has to decide which one. Extinction Event on the Ayara or go for the 2 drop. Gonna go for Ayara. So now has to deal with the Skyclave Shade. Okay, how about 2 Extinction Event? That's the 3rd Extinction Event. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, Yara. I have nothing in the graveyard, though. Ayara is still great here, though. Or is Luris better? I think we're going to go Ayara. Opponent will have 2 draws. Yep, I actually think this is better. Two draws and 4 life. Puts it in the bottom. And there's the last YOLO draw. We have a Cling that can gain some life as well. Murderous Rider. Yep. And then cast Murderous Rider. Oh boy. Oh boy. So past the turn, we can still string off a lot of cards. That definitely was not one of them. That does 2 damage. But let's see what we can do. Oh boy. Get a Murderous Rider of our own. Opponent's still grasping at straws, though. Agonizing Remorse gets rid of Ayara. Oh, really? Going for the Murderous Rider. It takes a damage. Yeah, that was a risky play by my opponent. They need to attack it with Murderous Rider. Maybe they'll Cling to Dust and gain some life. Because that gives them some outs. Yep. And maybe an attacking with Murderous Rider. I think you should attack in there with Murderous Rider. Castle Lock Toy number 7. Just joking, it's not number 7. more lands on my opponent. I can Murderous Rider and Murderous Rider. I hate doing this, though. So opponent's going to go back down to a 4, which is in reach. Oh, 4 gets it. Isn't it just... They'll do 2 each. I am just really bad at this game, because they'll do 2. They'll see each other. Whenever it or another, so it's going to do 2 each. Oh, no, no. Wait a second. No, they don't see each other. Duh, when it comes into play. Yeah, that was dumb of me. Why was I thinking it did 2 each? Alright, Hagermauling there. Should have gone for the Murderous Rider. Cling to Dust again is what I'm assuming is coming down. Yeah, that was dumb of me to go a Yar. Why was I thinking it did 2 each when it comes into play and sees something, but it only sees... Yeah, the other one only sees something. Derp. Alright, there's Cling to Dust. Back into a 5. Ay, ay, ay. What is up with this? Now we are getting flooded. Unfortunately, there's nothing there. We still do not have a Skyclave. Or another... It's our entire last of the deck is just... And our opponent just keeps top decking. They can start running out the Castle Lochtwains. See if we can draw a card here. Getting frustrated. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I just don't know what to do. End of turn, kill the Labyrinth, maybe? When it goes to a 3. So the killed Murderous Rider. Yeah. But they're down to a 1. So any Yara wins the game. There's so many things that just win the game here. That wins the game. Yep. Liliana wins it. About time. We had to dig down to 32 cards. Or 28 cards to get a Liliana. And then... the rest of it is like Skyclave. It's just a lot of lands on the top there. Whew. That was a nail-biter of a game. You can see how this deck just grinds. That was a pure removal deck. There's another version of this sort of deck going around that has Garrick as well as Ashiok. And this deck also performs very well versus that. I'm going to hurry and play one more. This will be kind of a longer Tuesday Brewsday. And hopefully we can get like a, not a Gruul matchup, like a Rogues matchup. I want to show this versus Rogues. Unfortunately, it's an Ashiok character, so maybe we'll be going up against another Yorion deck. Definitely play first. Definitely keep this hand. Pretty decent one. Not a Yorion deck. Kind of slow, but we have triple black. We have mill. We have reanimation. We have an opponent that is deciding whether they want to keep their hand or not. It is Rogues. Okay. We have kind of a slow hand versus Rogues. But it's not terrible. And Timurich Calls the Dead's bad in this matchup. We need to put out... probably Yara. Actually, Timurich Calls the Dead's not terrible. Murderous Rider, we definitely didn't want that card, so that one's good. They're keeping up a Drown the Lock, I'm assuming. Alright, so let's go ahead and attack in. And I want the weakest card here taken care of. So, and this could actually just really make our opponent go crazy with the Timurit. Okay, Lofty, now it's fine. That's fine. So, we got a card for a card. That would have ended up milling us. We have our more powerful cards coming up. I want to hit a land drop next turn. I might just go Agadeem's Witch's Oven in something. We're getting close to mill. I'd like to see Cling to Dust too. That'd be good. All right, so that actually gives us an option. We're going to go ahead and attack first. See if my opponent actually wants to counter this Witch's Oven. That was probably the worst thing possible. So I don't want to run Lurrus into this because there most likely will be another removal spell. So let's just run out a Yara. And pass the turn. So I don't think damage is going to be an issue. Our opponent needs to draw... Like, they're getting close to Into the Story. One more land for us is getting Agadeem's close to... No, we still need more. Oh, that actually sucks. This is the Zareth version. See what they choose. This does give us a Lurrus opening, though. And we have a Mara Triton we can hit into. Yeah, so we're open. We're open to do things. I'm sure opponent might just go Murderous Rider. Castle Locktwain. They can hit lands with that? Oh, man. Who designs these cards? Alrighty, so... don't want that. We're going to pay 3 life. And then it's good old Lurrus. I don't know why I paid 3 life. Yes, I did. I'm like, I didn't have the lands. I do have the lands. And Triton. All right, here we go. We need Ghoul to hit. Come on, Ghoul. Womp womp. And I think we attack in. Oh, man. What's more important, 2 or I think 2 life is actually more important here. I say 2 life or a card. Opponent's going to help us mill. Maybe they can mill some Skyclaves. I mean, we don't have to go through our entire deck, right? Right? Castle Locktwain is a weird card for my opponent to get. They should have got anything but that. I mean, I get, like, Into the Story. I get going for the gain control of a creature. But... trying to think what Into the Story would definitely be the best play here. Okay, this is a weird attack. Probably has a double Zareth, so we can pass the blockers. Block here. So I'm thinking there's another Zareth in hand. And that's what makes... Or they didn't read my card that has Death Touch. Maybe, just maybe, we'll mill some Skyclaves. Yeah, that's what I assumed. Which is fine. It's not the worst thing that could happen. Because now they might go Timurit Calls the Dead here. Or a Triton of their own. They probably should take a Triton because I can cast the Triton with Lurrus. So they do go with the Calls the Dead. And can get rid of a copy of Zareth. So this is a bigger rogue strategy, which is fine because a Yara can get the job done. And we do have a cast with Loris. That's actually perfect. So we can go Timorate. And we don't have to really worry about mill in this version. It's not as strong as mill as the regular. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We'll get rid of another Timorate. We don't want our opponent getting a Timorate back, so... We get good old Triton now. And then attack with both of them. Do we even need Loris at this point? I don't want Yara to die, actually, so we're going to go in just with a... I think we can go in with the Triton. I actually want the zombie to block with this because I don't want my opponent gaining life off of Timorate. Alright, this is going to block and sack. Alright, it is a game, folks. We have a ghoul coming into play here, which is going to drain some more. Opponent mills a Thieves Guild Enforcer. No Into the Stories, though. We haven't seen the other rogues, so Merfolk Windrobber cast sack is probably going to be the play. They need to kill Loris. I actually think that Yara might be the right play here. I actually should have... That was dumb. I should have Yara'd. Sacked a Yara, because now removal on a Yara means I don't have anything that can stop it. We have blockers for the Zera Sand Trickster, though. I doubt it's coming in. I kind of want to, like, kill a ghoul here, because it actually can't get in for damage. Well, attack. No, the zombie can't get in. Well, cancel. I think we're fine here. Because I think we just go in with everything, except for Yara. Because my opponent's down to a 7. We're going to get a ghoul back. Unfortunately, look at this. We didn't get a land there to get back a Skyclave. We've only milled one Skyclave, so we're half our deck, only one Skyclave and one ghoul. So the right thing actually is just use a Yara on the ghoul. No. The right thing is actually to sacrifice it. Yeah. Sacrifice the ghoul. Perfect. This opponent's not going to be gaining any life, so we'll sack it. That's going to draw a card. Sack on the Merfolk. Trade. No damage goes through. And we get a Castle Lock Twain, which is actually good because then we can get back to the Skyclaves. So that allows us just to cast this for 2. Maybe I should have sacked something there. Okay, should have waited for the other one, my dude. Oh, we can actually pay the one. Doesn't have a flyer anymore. Hopefully it mills one for us here. Just give us a ghoul. One time. No times. Alright. And then pass the turn, which puts just a ghoul into play. The opponent can actually still come back with this with like a Hail Mary, but I don't know. Yeah, what would be a Hail Mary? There's another ghoul. I'm going to draw our gain 0 and draw 0. And that's not going to do it. That's going to mill us some more, and that is lethal. Next turn. Highly doubt you can do anything for 3. Just going through the motions now. Don't rope me, though, please. There we go. So sideboard Timber is super, super weak. Extinction Event in this version is actually pretty decent. Naming 4 and hitting all of their... Nah. We don't need to. I think the only thing that needs to come out is Timurit. It's weak. Liliana is okay. Agonized Remorse is okay too. Usually we want to be doing something on that turn though. Like Duress might just be better to Duress out into the story or something. But I wonder how good Liliana is in this matchup. We're going to try Liliana. It might end up being terrible. But I just don't like Timurit in this matchup. It comes out on the worst turn possible. Doesn't block the flyers. Our opponent's milling us for us. We don't really need to worry about milling ourselves. Duress and Agonizing Remorse are definitely something you can make the argument for. Typically, I like to be doing stuff, though. Like proactive stuff and not let my opponent just draw into the stories and... I think this is acceptable. So we get to get a Witch's Oven out, which is super good. Hopefully we can mill with the Triton. And then we have a Murderous Rider to take care of some of our opponents. So, what is better here? Yeah, I think Skyclave is actually better. Most likely to get countered. Nope, they allow it to happen. But yeah, we of course draw that Skyclave rather than wait one more turn to get it milled. This curse deck. Alright, Soaring Thief. Do your best. Good news is, though, we are proactive here. So, we're going to continue to be able to create threats. And now we get to kill one. So, this is an easy pick for me. Oh, actually, I hope we draw an Elspeth's Nightmare. That would be the ideal scenario. That's also pretty decent. Yeah, I think we just need to take care of one of the Soaring Thieves here. Ah, you! So I played this first and hoped that my opponent might want to block it, but because I'm not going to be recasting it. And while it's open, let's take care of one. Really slows down my opponent. Now they could get their big boy out here. Nope, tap land. Oh, we need lands. We need some lands because this will be beautiful if we can get a land. Like, best case scenario next turn is a Radiant Fountain. Okay, that was a land. One land down. Down to a 16, so we're still in very decent shape. Actually cast Murderous Rider next turn. Kind of weird. Yeah, I think that just makes my play for me. I think I just sack and then get back a ghoul. That sucks we missed a land drop. It's between this trying to play like a golden egg. My opponent has mana open, though, is the issue. Unfortunately, well, like I said, these are cursed. At least one did mill, but the ghouls are so cursed. They never want to mill. They always want to draw. Rankle. So my opponent is going to be attacking in pretty good here. 2 more Lilianas. I actually don't want Liliana at this point. Hopefully my opponent says discard a card. Oh, please, discard a card, discard a card, discard a card. You can do it. Because then we want to draw a land with his golden egg and crack it immediately. Each player lose light. That actually helps me, though. Well, it could help me if I can ever, you know, maybe draw a land. That would be great. Yeah, there we go. So, what do we want to do here? What do we want to do? Triton gives us 2 life and an egg. I think it's actually Skyclave and Triton here. Can't, or we could keep up the maybe it's Skyclave and Golden Egg. Because Triton, definitely Skyclave. I was going to think Triton allows us to have a combo next turn, but we have a Golden Egg combo anyway. So that gains us 2 life. That is relevant. Of course, we get a Murderous Rider. We can get in here for 3. So opponent has 3 cards. We also have more than 3 cards. Unfortunately, we cannot block these Soaring Thieves. We can generate some pretty decent amount of life with this Witch's Oven. Possibly a Golden's Egg on the same. Problem is these 2. So cursed. So we're tagging for 6. We do want to hit land. See what our opponent decides to do. They probably want us to draw a card. I doubt the sack is going to happen. Gotta be counter magic in the hand. We have lethal, though, the following turn. And so if I just kind of play this smartly with... But flashing another Soaring Thought Thief or another Rogue is problematic. So gonna go with the draw card. Ugh, another Miller. What in the world? Come on, Skyclaves. Come on. You're so cursed. Looks like going after the Triton with the removal spell, which is fine. That's life. So you got to keep ahead of life here. Got a Field of Ruin. That's actually relevant. So we'll go to combat. Down to a 6. I want to keep up as much life as possible. So I think a Yara is the right play. And that gives us a sack with... It's going to get... Most likely going to get countered. It did get Lofty Denialed. But... I can actually cast a card here. Can my opponent get another Soaring Thought... No, I think we are going just to keep up the life. Huh. Yeah, that's fine. Three cards in hand. We go... So we have to do this. Unfortunately, we have to do this because we are at lethal with Rankle. Cling to Dust is actually pretty good. No, it's not. So opponent has to cast something, though, in response to these suckers. I'm sure we're drawing another card, and maybe we'll hit a land. Maybe we'll have, like, 30 cards down. Actually have... Yeah, my entire rest of my deck is lands. Maybe we'll get a land here. Each player sacks a creature, huh? Sure. Actually works out well for me. Didn't hit a land, though. That'll be the name of the game. If we lose this matchup, it's definitely a lack of lands. Not a lot of Agadeems were milled either. Come on. Let's see what you got. So cursed. This deck is cursed. Can my opponent, like, flash something in? So I think a Yara is still the better play here. Because they have to counter magic, then we sack, then we get back the ghoul. And we'll be at 6. That's like my only out. My other only out would be, you know, maybe draw some lands. That would be my other out. So most likely this is going to get countered. It did. So I'm going to sack this. Puts me up to a 6. Gets back a ghoul. And possibly we can pull this off. Still has to find another removal. We should use it before the Witch's Oven untaps. Oh, thank you for letting me discard a card. Elspeth Nightmare sucks. And still no land. So we literally have all land left in our deck now. I guess not literally, but close enough. Should be using removal on the silver. Yeah, yep, expected that. Because now... No land again! Again, no land. We can Cling to Dust. It gets countered, we lose. So I have a couple options. We go Skyclave Shade. No, Skyclave Shade doesn't work. The only thing we can do is just Cling to Dust, and if it gets countered, we lose. But that just sucked. That is just terrible, terrible variance. We went that many turns without lands, with our Rankle drawing us that many cards. Yep. Well, that was just stupid. You can chalk that one up as MTG Joe just not wanting us to play. What a joke. What a joke. All right, so we'll keep it as is. And that same thing on the turn that he decided to finally have us discard a card. I just kept drawing removal, and so our opponent didn't draw lands and we didn't draw lands. Like, that scenario had to work for both of us. And, okay, we just lose. Now I'm on tilt. I'm on massive tilt here. What a joke. What a joke. What a joke, what a joke. Sometimes Arena just does not want you to play. And now we are going to flood. Well, at least we have more lands than we had the last turn early. Hey, there we go. We are now up to the exact same total that we had the game before. There goes a witch's oven. And our opponent's getting the god draw. And we did. We still have not milled a mill card. I don't know. Well, I'm glad this is my last game because this is where you want to uninstall. Which is this is just terrible variance. Terrible variance. I mean, it's a card. Still no mill card, though. Still none. None. 15 cards. Mole. I kind of just want to crack this golden egg. It's such a bad play, but I need the life. I'm going to die to damage here. Opponent missed a land drop, too. I think my opponent has all counter magic left in their deck. Elspeth Nightmare, 1000% is going to get countered. It's still not a mill card. 16 cards, 8 in our deck. Yeah, my opponents can draw great hinges off the top of their library all day long. Now I'm getting super salty. And there's the god draw by my opponent. It's still not one. Still not one. Still not one. We're gonna go through 30 cards of our deck without a mill card. There's Luris. And I don't even have a... Do I even have a... I just die here, right? 3, 6... No, I'm okay, actually. Our opponent just has to have a mill card, though. What a joke. And there's the Heartless Act. Oh yeah, so as you can see, that matchup was actually pretty easy to beat. That was the worst string of cards that could have possibly happened in game 2 and game 3. We could not drop our hand with game 3 and then game 2 and then game 3 the mold of 4. You just can't win a mold of 4. Well, at least we got to see one good game and a nail biter with the second game. Maybe there was something I could have done differently on that second game. Could have gone for maybe something besides Cling to Dust, but that Lofty Denial was going to counter anything. That was a big issue, and then I couldn't, I guess my opponent could have allowed a Skyclave to be cast, and then possibly could have sacked it for 3 life. Maybe that was the play to go, rather than just run right into the possibility of another control card, but I am pretty salty with that. With those cursed cards. They cannot go to the graveyard. They will not mill. We go against a mill deck, and they still refuse to get milled into the graveyard. Anyway, this has been Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder. Hope you enjoyed this video. Looking forward to your comments in the comment section below about possible upgrades or whatnot. Thanks for watching.